Joe Sizzle, my nizzle. We love everything happening there. Also, congratulations to you on getting your chef award. Yes, Anele, I'm talking about you.
Can we cooking with Zanzan?
Cooking with Zanzan. I'm totally here for it. Right now, we're having coffee with ourselves. And this morning, we're stirring more than just coffee. Listen, we're brewing meaning. And joining us for a soothing cup of wisdom with JACOBS, where a heartfelt story and rich roast just come together so beautifully and with every pour.
So time to tackle the all-important conversation, and I really like this one because I kind of consider myself this a little bit. Are deep thinkers lonelier people? That is an interesting question. Joining us in the hot seat today is occupational therapist Amy Isaacs. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm trying to measure your coffee intake. I think you've had a little sip, but it's okay.
That's a second cup. She's not going to say. Amy, welcome. I did have a chat with you off air a little bit about the difference between what you do as an OT, as an occupational therapist, versus other sorts of therapy, because you take quite a practical approach to therapy.
Absolutely, a very practical approach. Occupational therapists will teach you the skills and the tools you need to manage your mental health, because a lot of the times we have to live with our mental health conditions. You know, they're not going away. So we manage it with medication, but we also need the tools. We need to understand, how do I approach my overthinking or my deep thinking? How do I approach when a situation happens and I need to move forward? What are the practical steps that I take to overcome my anxiety, my depression, my stress?
And I love that approach because, funnily enough, through my son's brief journey with OT, I learned more about myself than we did about him. He kind of outstretched that process beautifully because he was embracing those skills and applying himself every day. I can't understand myself, and I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to explain that to me, but give me the tools to do something about it. Absolutely. Now we're having fun. I like that.
I like what you mentioned about overthinking versus deep thinking. What's the difference there?
So when you're deep thinking, right, deep thinkers are often people who do research, who look for more information. So you're sitting with a thought or something that's bothering you and you're going, what is that? You know, what's the information that supports that? Whereas overthinking can often get us trapped in a spiral of thoughts. You know, it's just the same thought that's going over and over.
Yeah, all the overthinkers trying to kick down the door to get in the studio. I'm saying, no, just stop thinking.
Yeah, so overthinking means that you are constantly having that thought that's going over and over in your head. You're not looking for more information. You're not looking to support if it's true.
You know, it's for confirmation for that bias, maybe.
That bias. So it's important to remember that not all our thoughts are true. And when you are a deep thinker, you're looking for where's the truth in it. When you're an overthinker, that can actually really cause self-criticism. And then you start putting it on yourself, and that causes anxiety. And that's really where the challenge comes in terms of mental health, because you're thinking about something so much that it's stopping you from moving forward in your life.
I kind of obsess over things like that, and often it's a fine line for me, because often when you're thinking about these things, it'll feed off what we've spoken about in the show, and it's vitally important that we do think critically about it, that we do delve deeper, because most of us, through most of our days, are not thinking critically, are not digging deeper, looking for that truth, as you will. But you can become very fixated on these things, especially when it speaks to your existence, that where AI is taking humanity, the safety of our children. These are big things that I can't be sitting thinking about all day, every day.
Absolutely.
How do you differentiate between those thoughts in your own head and take control?
Well, you know, it is a matter of considering a bit of self-awareness, sitting with the thought. What is that thought? This is why it's also very helpful to get practical with your thoughts, journaling, some sort of creative outlet. What is going on in your head? How do you get it out of your head?
Process.
Onto paper. I'll often even tell clients, start a WhatsApp group with yourself. Then you can send a voice note or a message. Often we have so many thoughts, but we're not listening to ourselves. They're just going over and over in our head. But if you get it on paper, if you listen to a WhatsApp voice note from yourself, you actually get to a point of like, I didn't know I was thinking about it like that. I didn't know that what my thoughts were. And then you can build on that. And that's how we build self-compassion, because you can actually go into the space of like, I'm being too hard on myself here.
Get the judgment out of the conversation.
Get the judgment out. It builds self-compassion. It builds empathy for yourself, for others, and also builds self-awareness. Because then it's a space of, oh, I didn't know I thought like that. And is it a matter of I need help with my thoughts? Because that's also possible. Some of our thoughts are so negative that we're just putting ourselves down all the time. That's where therapy comes in, or counseling, something that's more helpful to just bounce that thoughts off somebody else. Otherwise, we're just going to believe.
The mirror there, yeah. And I think often it's so funny, but if you've ever listened to a voice note or something that you've said about something big, and I'm big on leaving myself kind of reminder voice notes, where you hear it the next day where the context has changed. Suddenly it's not the biggest, deepest, darkest, craziest thing. It's like, that actually didn't matter. And your emotions suddenly then start to guide how you are thinking.
Yes.
I like getting practical.
I love this.
I'm going to give you a celebratory sip of my coffee. That was
absolutely. And
awesome.
I think, if anything, before you even get to therapy, a cup of coffee helps. Gain some perspective. Sit down with yourself. Sip slow. Have your moment. And just gain some composure and also perspective, which I think helps when you're putting it outside of your brain onto paper, into a practical thing, on a walk, whatever it may be. Thank you for coming through today.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh my goodness. I feel like a better person right now.
And that was only after 2 coffees. Imagine her after like 5 coffees. She's going to be unstoppable. Well, we hope that today's Jacob's Cup of Wisdom, and there was a lot there, has stirred something meaningful in you, a fresh perspective, maybe just a little quiet nudge, or just the reminder that you've got what it takes to keep moving forward. So keep moving forward.
Amen to that.
Find your wonderful. Jacobs, wunderbar.